Dear students, well, in the previous lecture, we were talking about the characteristics of the contract of sale, and we have illustrated that the contract of sale is a consensual contract, and it is a two-sided binding contract, a contract of exchange or a commutative contract, and an owner transferring contract. I think we reached this last characteristic, and now we will start with the differences between the contract of sale and the other contracts uh, that may be difficult to differentiate between the contract of sale and them. So it may be that it is easy to highlight the difference between the contract of sale and the other contracts. However, sometimes it becomes so hard to know what is the difference or what is the line that separates the contract of sale and the other contracts. That's why here in this lecture we will highlight uh, the contract of sale and the other contracts and what are the difficulties that these contracts make in the differentiation between the contract of sale and these contracts. First of all, I would start with the contract of sale and the contract of gift. What is the difference between these two contracts? And if there is any difficulty in the differentiation between these two contracts. Well, the contract of gift وهو بالعربي بهمني أعطيك بالعربي لأنه بكرة حتصير ممكن تشتغل في مجال المحاماة فلازم تكون عارف إنه الجيفت بلغة القانون هي عقد الهبة. So the contract of gift أو عقد الهبة, it means a contract by which the donor grants his property to another person who is the donee without an opposite. So here we have to know that we have two parties to the contract of gift, at least two parties. The first party is the donor اللي احنا بنسميه الواهب, and the donee is the second party, and he is the one who is given the gift, الموهوب له. So we have two parties to this contract. At least we have two parties. Now, what is the gist of this contract? The gist of the contract of gift is that the person who is the donor, he gives something that he owns to the donee. However, he gives the donee this property without an opposite. So, without an opposite. And this is actually the difference, the main difference between the contract of sale and the contract of the gift, is that in the contract of sale, we shall give the seller an opposite of the thing that he gives to the buyer, and vice versa. Like the price is given to the seller an opposite of the movable thing or the immovable thing. However, the buyer is given the thing, the sold thing or the sale between brackets, in opposite of the price that he pays for the seller. So this is the gist of the contract of sale. However, in the contract of the gift, the element which is the opposite is not existed. So the gifts, or the gift here without this, the gift matches the sale regarding the fact that both transfer the ownership from a person to another person. So the similarity between these two contracts is that every one of them is an ownership transferring contract. كل واحد منهم من هذه العقود عقد ناقل للملكية, simply because one of the parties relinquishes his ownership to another person whether it is with an opposite or without an opposite. If it is with opposite, then it is a contract of sale. If it is not with opposite, then it is a contract of gift. However, what is the difference between them? The gift differs from the sale, that the gift transfers the ownership without an opposite. So this is the main difference between the contract of gift and the contract of sale. Well, the differentiating between the gift and the sale becomes more hard, and this is the point that I mentioned at the beginning of this lecture, is that sometimes it becomes hard to make difference between or to detect the bottom line and separating the contract of gift from the contract of the sale. When does that happen? When the gift is granted to the donee with an opposite. Well, we have mentioned before that the gift is given to the person who is the donee without an opposite. So how come that the gift is granted to the donee with an opposite? Is it possible that the contract is a contract of gift despite the fact that the donee was granted something with an opposite that he must pay or he must submit to the donor? Well, that is our question here. So it becomes hard to more and more hard when the gift is granted to the donee with an opposite. Simply because if there is an opposite, someone would say that it is no longer a contract of gift. It is actually a contract of sale, right? Simply because there is an opposite. Well, to differentiate in this case, we shall find if there is the intention of donation. Not us, actually. The judge, when there is a clash between these two parties, the judge will know if there is an intention of donation, and he will discover this from the circumstances that were existed in the time of the contracting or in the time that they concluded the contract. It's made that the judge finds out that the party here has the intention of donation. So if there is the intention of donation, then the contract is a gift one, even if there is an opposite in the process. So in the side of the donor or not. So if the donor has the intention of donation, then it is a gift. If there is not if there isn't like the intention of donation, then the contract here in this case is not a contract of gift. It is a contract of sale. So the judge is the one who decides on this matter. How could the judge discover this? We told you that he can discover this from the circumstances which surrounded the parties when they contracted or when they concluded their contract. For example, let me give you an example for this matter. Well, the value of the opposite that is required by the donee plays a good role in discovering that intention. Like I told you before, that the judge may discover this from the circumstances. One of these circumstances which may help the judge in discovering the intention of donation and the side of the donor is that the value of the opposite, قيمة الشيء المقابل, that is required by the donee, المطلوب من الشخص الموهوب له, which plays a good role in discovering that intention. يعني اليوم أنا قلت لبهاء خذ هاي السيارة بس بمقابل معين. المقابل قيمته, the value of the thing that is required from the donee بهاء, it plays a good role in discovering the intention of donation. Like I told him, Baha, I would like to give you my car, but you have to pay me just 100 shekel. Do you think that the 100 shekel here is a real opposite? Like it is a real price, and then the contract is a contract of sale? Well, actually, no. Simply, the price is a trivial one here. It is a trivial. So that's why the contract here is a gift. Why? Because the sum of money that is paid by Baha to the donor, which is me, well, actually, it is a trivial sum of money, and that's why the donor here in this case he has the intention of donation عنده نية التبرع لأنه مقدار المال اللي أخذه بالمقابل هو مقدار بسيط لا يمكن أن أسميه بأي حال من الأحوال أنه هو عبارة عن ثمن للشيء المبيع, right? So that's why the contract here is a contract of gift. So if the value is near of or near, or if it amounts to the value of the donated thing, then it is a contract of sale, even if the contractors gave it the name of gift and vice versa. Yani, look, if I gave Baha my car and I told him I would give you my car as gift, so this is a contract of gift, and we named the contract, we named it contracted gift, but Baha is required to pay me like $10,000. Okay, well, the $10,000 is actually reaching the real price of the car, so it is maybe near the value of the donated thing, I mean the car, or it amounts the value, it reaches the same value, or it is near or approximately reaches the price of that donated thing. So in this case, the contract is a contract of sale in its reality, even if we gave it the name of the gift. Why? Because the value of the donated thing, it equals with or nearly equals the value of the sum of money that is given by the donor to by the donee to the donor. So that's why we called it what? We called it a contract of sale, even if we gave it the name of a contract of gift. Well, let me give you another example, which is an opposite example. Like if I gave the car and we called the contract between us as contract of a sale, and Baha is required according to the conditions of the contract of sale made between me and him. He is required to pay me just 100 shekel. So is it a contract of sale as it is named by us? Actually, no. It is a contract of gift. Why? Because the sum of money, the trivial sum of money, it reflects the intention of donation in the side of the donor, I mean in the side of Maher. That's why we don't care about the name that is given to the contract by the contractors. We only give care for the reality of the like the obligations between the parties. So the value of the opposite thing that is required by the donee, it will make the judge discover if there is the intention to donate or whether it is found or not found. That's why we say that when there is an opposite in the contract of gift, we have to look to the value of that opposite, okay? So the contract is gift even if it is named sale when the value of the donee's obligations is trivial compared with the value of the donated thing. Like what we said regarding the exam between Meher and Baha, we have said that the donee's obligation, which is the 100 shekels, it is actually trivial compared with the value of the donated thing, which is the car of Maher. That's why we say that the contract here is a contract of gift, and it shall in no way considered the contract of sale. Okay, so this is the first thing I would like. I wanted to highlight the difference between the contract of sale and the contract of gift. Now let me move to another example, which is the contract of sale and the contract of will. Well, it's not a contract actually. We mustn't call it a contract. It's will. Simply, the will is a unilateral act. Unilateral act, it means something that is made by one will of one person. So there is no, there are no like wills of more than one person, because the contract happens when there is two wills at least. However, the will as يعني what we call it in Arabic وصية, it is made by only one will. It is the will of one person. That's why we mustn't name it a contract of will. There is someone would laugh if we say a contract of will, عقد وصية. It doesn't happen. It doesn't occur that it is a will made by one party, only one party. However, the contract needs and requires the existence of two wills or two parties at least. That's why we have here the contract of sale and the will. The difference between them, what is the difference between them? Let we read and illustrate. Now, the will is defined as a transaction on the inheritance that is enforced after the death. يعني هو الوصية تعتبر هي عبارة عن تصرف في التركة مضاف إلى ما بعد الموت. زي لما يجي يقول لفلان انه انا باوصي لفلان بمبلغ من المال بعد وفاتي. وعمليا التصرف the transaction here is a transaction that happens on an inheritance or the inheritance of that person له علاقة بتركته. But this will would be enforced after his death. تتنفذ and implicated after the death of the willer, الشخص الموصي. So the will is not a contract. Well, actually, it's not a contract. Simply because it doesn't have parties. It is only made by one will and one party, who is the willer, okay? But it is a unilateral act made by one person for the sake of another person. For the sake of another person. It's made that this person doesn't know. And even if he know, his will doesn't play a role here. Like to accept it or not accept it, well, actually it doesn't make difference. When the will of this person, I mean the person who would be the beneficiary of the will, his will doesn't play any role, any vital role. Like I don't care about your acceptance or not or your refusal. I don't care about it. So the law, he gives the care only for the person who made the will, for the sake of the other person, and without an opposite. It happens without an opposite. So it's like the gift, that it doesn't have opposite. The will and the gift, it doesn't have opposite. However, the gift, there are two wills, the donee and the donor. The donee will is very important. It is taken into consideration. If the donee doesn't accept the contract would not exist. However, the will, it happens whether he accepts that or he doesn't accept it. We don't care about his acceptance or refusal. Also, the effect of this will, I mean, transferring the ownership, happens after death. It happens after this. So the difference between the contract of sale and the will is that in the contract of sale, the ownership is transferred from the seller to the buyer at the time of the contracting. If the sold thing is a type decided thing, if it is a self-decided thing, if it is type decided thing, then its ownership will move after the what we called here, let me just after the sorting process, بعد عملية الفرز. And if it is immovable thing, the ownership would transfer after the registration process, right? So in the contract of sale, the thing is transferred, or the ownership of the thing is transferred from a person to another person in the life of the seller. However, in the will, the thing will be transferred to the willie, I mean the person who is the beneficiary from the will, after the death of the willer, بعد ما ماتوا. So this is one of the differences between the contract of will and the contract of sale, is that there are two differences. Well, number one, the contract of sale happens between two parties. So let me write them here so that you can understand me really well. Well, the contract happens between two wills, two parties at least. However, the will happens with one will of one party. Number two, the difference is that in the contract, the two wills must accept the offer, and the other party would accept that offer. So there are two wills, and they must agree on the conditions of the contract. However, in the will, the will of the gifted person, الشخص or the granted person, is not an important thing. So it doesn't count actually. Okay. Number three is that in the contract of sale, the ownership transfers in the life of the two parties, and especially in the life of the seller. However, in the will, the thing or the ownership, it transfers after the death of the person. I mean, after the death of the person who made the will. Okay, after his death. That's what I wanted to say regarding the first matter. Therefore, the clear differences between the will and the sale is that the sale is a contract and it is not a unilateral act. This is correct, totally correct. It's not a unilateral act. The price as opposite deems a main pillar in the contract of sale, أكيد. And finally, the ownership transferring happens immediately, not after the death of any party. This is clear actually, and I have made it clear when I illustrated this point اللي هي تبعت متى تنتقل الملكية في كل منهما. It's made that the parties to the will hide it in a shape of sale. هان المشكلة، هان الصعوبة، إنه ممكن الأطراف، يعني الطرف ممكن يجي يخبي الوصية في شكل بيع. So that they can avoid the provisions related to the will. أحياناً في نصوص متعلقة يعني مثلاً بالوصية. الوصية من شروطها المعروفة شرعاً وقانوناً إنه لا يجوز أن تزيد عن الثلث. يعني مثلاً أنا عندي 3 أولاد وأنا بحب ولد منهم and I do not love the other children. So I would grant, if I want to make a will, then I would grant the one that I love only the third of my inheritance. طبعا هذا كله بعد موافقة الورثة كلهم، لأنه لا وصية لوارث. مظبوط؟ فرضيا يعني. Sorry, something went wrong when I was recording. فحكينا إنه الأحكام واضحة إنه لا يجوز إني أمنح شخص أكثر من الثلث زي ما احنا تكلمنا. فأنا بدي أهرب الوصية في شكل آخر، مسموح فيه إني أعطي الشخص الموهوب مقدار من المال بأي قدر كان. فبنروح بنخفي صورة الوصية في شكل بيع. يعني أجي بقول له يا بهاء، بدل ما أوصي لك بالثلث أنا نفسي أوصي لك بالنص، نص ميراثي كله. فبروح بعمله عملية بيع شراء. تسمعوا إنه فلان قبل ما يموت، سوري أجين، تسمع إنه في واحد باع أولاده بيع شراء في حياته. هذا الذي يحصل عمليا عندما يهرب الشخص شكل البيع في شكل هبة. For example, when X grants his properties to Y and they hide it, they hide this grant or the will in a shape of sale. Now the person harmed by such act can challenge in the fact of that act by proving that one of the elements of sale is not existed. ممكن يثبت الشخص انه هذا التصرف كان عبارة عن وصية وليس بيعا من خلال اثبات انه هذا البيع ما بيحتويش على ركن من اركانه. like the price, for example, or if it is discovered that Y in the latter example is one of the years, or if it is proven that the seller still controlled the sale and did not submit it to the buyer. So all of these matters show that the the transaction that happened between the two parties is not a contract of sale in its reality. It is a mere will. It is a will that it is hidden in a shape of a sale. So anyone who would be harmed by this act can challenge it before the court and prove that the act that happened between the persons is not a contract of sale, however, it is a contract of gift. I think to this limit, I end my lecture. In the coming lectures, inshallah, I will be talking about the contract of sale and the contract of lease, the contract of sale and contract of mandate, and the contract of sale and contract of deposit. And this is all about our lecture today. I thank you very much for your patience, and I will see you, inshallah, in the coming lectures with a new topic on the contract of sale. Thank you from deep of my heart, and good